Hello, everyone. Welcome to Secure IT, where we normally discuss cybersecurity, people, trends, and products. I thank you for joining us on this continuing journey. And this session is kind of disruptive because last Christmas, it just so happened that we were with a mutual friend, Mello Fernandez, and the room was filled with a set of three daughters. So we did a father-daughter holiday podcast. The results were absolutely amazing. And here we are, trying to keep the balance in the universe with a father-son podcast. So we're going to talk about, dads, Indian dads at that, sons, and American sons at that. I'm proud and happy to see this next generation that we've so heavily invested in. We're going to talk about our plans and the plans of mice and men and how it went. So I'm just going to dive in, and hopefully this will be a very interesting conversation. Joining me today is a longtime friend that I knew much before either of our sons were born. Ronnie Dalgado, welcome.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And going in order of presence on this earth, my firstborn. Hey, Edward, how are you doing, son?
Good. I think I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, you think you're happy to be here.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go, Edward, right out of the cage. And last but not least, Riley Dalgado. You're going to see a lot more of him soon on television, in the news. Riley has recently been added onto the LA Galaxy roster. So there is my 1 degree of separation. Riley, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you can make it. So someone somewhere skipping practice. So guys, this is around 6 o'clock in the evening. And one of the traditions that we've brought from home is, thanks to the British, my 4 o'clock chai. So if you don't mind, I'm going to be sipping some tea and we're going to start. So let's start with the easy one, right? It's the career moves. Now, Mr. Delgado, I don't want to know everything, please, but 3 major career moves that got you here. Now, I know you're leading a fun retired life, but pick 3. Tell us more about yourself.
I don't know if I'll put it as 3, but I'll just give you a little brief history. When I was young, by the way, we grew up and we were born in Africa. We came to where we had dad and mom had dad worked for the British government. There was a lot of help in Mombasa, Kenya, but when we came to Bombay, there was no help. So, and my mom didn't know how to cook, didn't like to cook. So that led me to my career where I always wanted to learn how to cook, and that's how I joined hotel management at Sapphires in Bombay. That's where I met my wife, Jeanette Moniz, and joined the Oberoi's in Bombay, joined the Taj in Bombay. But to get into hotel management in India wasn't easy. I had to first navigate from St. Xavier's College to Otis Elevators. So that would be one of the major moves, because that was a really tough life as a apprentice at Otis Elevators, where you climb 50 floors 10 times a day building elevators. But got into the hotel industry because I wanted to cook and I wanted to learn how to cook, but I just fell in love with hospitality. And that's been my life ever since. Came to the US in 94, joined as an executive chef at one of those DoubleTrees in LA, and so on and so forth. Went on to become general manager and vice president operations, overseeing 6 hotels as of recently.
Beautiful. And I know you're being a little humble about your origins in Mumbai, but you actually were involved with one of maybe 2 5-star hotels at the time, and it was a prestigious position. From there, Ronnie, I remember you coming over to parties at the De Souza house with large trays of those, 3,000 calorie
DoubleTree chocolate chip
right?
cookies.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
I mean, you were known, and you're also known for, 12 or 1 o'clock when we're running low on all our alcoholic beverages to jump into the kitchen and rustle something up, a quick snack. So thank you for all those fond memories.
Absolutely.
Riley, before we go to you, we're going to take a little twist. So, Edward, my son, you've got quite an exciting story about how you landed where you are. You want to share?
Yeah, I guess I can start where I am now as a environmental engineer. And I think it kind of started when I was young, right? Growing up in LA, the South Bay, surrounded by right the ocean, and growing up as a kid, you'd always do the heal the bay cleanups every summer. You'd be hanging by the beach, and then also when I was young, I don't know why, but I would always be the one that had made sure every time you and mom left, we turned all the lights off, right? So that was kind of like my calling right to the environmental field. Went up to University of Washington, where obviously rained a lot, right? More water in my background. And I don't know, that's kind of in a way how I ended up where I am now, right? That's where went to school for that as well. So when I came back, got my first internship with the city of Torrance. Would go out with the fire department, inspect restaurants regarding oil and grease, how that impacts their stormwater runoff, right? And then went from there to the city of San Pedro. Did a lot of permitting, went out in the field, saw how they, installed like storm drain systems, things like that. Then from there, kind of got first real job with this small environmental engineering consulting company. Did that for about a year, and then I moved on to to a large company, kind of doing the same thing. Did that for 4.5 years, and then from there ended up right now where I'm at Northrop as a principal environmental engineer.
Great story. And Ronnie's going to be doing this in a few minutes, so let me beat him to it. Let me puff off my chest and say I'm really proud of the fact that here you are, principal environmental engineer for waste and stormwater at Northrop. Not too long ago, summers were, diving off the local cliffs. We had our heart in our mouth when we used to jump off the PV cliffs at high tide. And you're right, son. That was a great story, right? Something in you from early would have you just switch off lights when you left a room. And the fun anecdote here, Ronnie, is that in the Starstone house, all the electronic equipment was kind of in this little laundry room behind our great room, and Edward would be doing laundry. And promptly and intuitively, as soon as he left that little laundry room, he'd switch everything off. So we're watching TV in the middle of the movie and everything's gone off. Right? So he was saving electricity a long time ago. So thank you for reminding me about this. I've left the best for last. You, Riley Dalgado, we're the passion project. I know this because I've been around before you. Unlike Edward, who we'll talk about, had to bear the pressures of being the firstborn, for us dads having to check off everything. I paid a lot of money to have Edward face 75 or 90 mile an hour baseballs because we thought he was going to be a baseball great. He wanted nothing to do with baseball. And I'm like, look, this is the all American sport, Edward, give it a shot. And so we hired coaches and trainers. So Edward had to bear the pressure, as I'm sure your sister, being a firstborn. You, sir, are a fun project, literally, right? From day one, Dad's been cool. Dad's had this vision of your name up in lights, soccer. My fun story with you is, parties when you were little, you were pretty much allowed to do anything you wanted. There was this one time when you had to go real bad. Okay, real bad. I mean, you were like cringing all over, and we were like, oh, bathrooms are overrated. Just go in the backyard, right? So this is my connection to fame. The great Riley Dalgado of Galaxy has peed in my backyard. So tell us your story, Riley.
Well, yeah, currently I play soccer for LA Galaxy second team, and I have signed my first professional contract with the club recently. But I mean, ever since I was young, around 5 years old, I've always loved soccer and loved the sport. So I started playing AYSL from around ages 5 to 8, and then when I turned 8, I joined LA Galaxy Pre-Academy. So it's not really associated with the club, but it's kind of like a smaller club. It's called LA Galaxy Pre-Academy South Bay. So I played there from ages 8 to 11, and I was just having fun with a lot of friends. And at U12 is when it kind of starts getting real, and when LA Galaxy scouts come out to watch you. So when I was U11, LA Galaxy scouts would come out, watch my games, and they liked how I played. So they invited me out for a trial when I was around 11 years old, and I impressed at the trial, and they asked me to be on the LA Galaxy U12 Academy team. And I said, of course I'll do it. Soccer is my passion, it's my love. So I took the offer happily. And I've been on the LA Galaxy now for the past 7 years. Every year I try to get better and get better. And I had to work my way up through the academy. And now I'm playing for their second team and hopefully for the first team soon.
Impressive. Not to forget that, the whole Galaxy, LA Galaxy, one of the premier soccer teams in the US, if not in the world. You did the academy there, valedictorian, if I'm not mistaken, with a brilliant speech that people should look up on YouTube. Very well done. We're very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, Ronnie, back to you now. Let's, where do I start? Born in Africa, grew up in India, Portuguese last name, done a lot of fun stuff here, married into a extremely large family. We're 11 siblings. How many siblings?
Yep.
11 siblings, right? And
7 siblings. Seven.
seven.
My dad came up from a family of 12. So, yeah.
Sorry, you're 7, and Jeanette is bringing how many to the party?
No. I come from a family of 3.
Okay.
My Jeanette comes from a family of 7 siblings. My dad's side comes from a family of 12 siblings.
So it's a party just with a family get together, right? You don't need any outside visitors. So in all of this, hospitality, friends, you're really good at making friends. You've done well for yourself in your career. As you look back, what would you say is your superpower?
Why? Especially in the hospitality world, besides the cliche of looking after people, I think it's listening. Listening, I think, is a forgotten art, because in today's day and age, everybody wants to talk. Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants their voice to carry and command the room. But if you sit back and you listen, you can gain a lot of where people are coming from. You understand the picture. You can process if there's a problem. You can anticipate what the problems could be and get rid of them before they even crop up. So I think listening has been my superpower, especially in this day and age where we're dealing with different age groups, different ethnicities, different diverse backgrounds. You name it. You have all the different problems. I think there used to be these problems before, but I think after social media, they become more accentuated, where all people believe they have the right for this and the right for that. But when you're managing people, that everybody has a right, I mean, you got to make them work together. Cohesivenessly is the huge name of the game, yeah. So you just got to take a step back and get them to work together.
I agree. Really couldn't say it better. The listening, as we tell our teams, is an anagram for silent. So, you have one mouth and 2 ears. We've heard the old adage, and all you do is stay silent and listen, and the wisdom comes to you. It's one of the toughest things that I could possibly do, is try to stay silent. But I've seen you and interacted with you often, professionally and personally, and yes, I couldn't agree more. Junior Delgado. superpower?
I think mine is probably hard work. That's my superpower. I mean, it's just being part of the LA Galaxy. You gotta work your hardest to be where you are, and talent is nothing without hard work. So I would say making my way through U12, U13, U14, U15, and now to LA Galaxy 2, and trying to aspire to be a first team player. Hard work is the most important thing, and then after that becomes talent.
I think one thing that Riley forgot to mention in his explanation of there were 400 kids that tried out for that U12 team and 26 were chosen. From those first 26, he's the only boy left. And that's what he's talking about. Hard work and talent as well.
400
Every half the team is culled and a new half the team comes in. So new talent is brought in every 6 to 12 months. And if you don't make that cut, you're gone. So he's learned lessons of life way back then.
Impressive. And you have to stay on top of your game to be in the game.
Yep, absolutely.
Wow. Edward, son, superpower.
I think my superpower might be like dependability. Like you can depend on me to get the job done. He asked me to do something, I can do it, or just in relationship in general, you can depend on me, to be there. I'll figure out a way, no matter, I guess, how challenging it is, whatever it is, you can depend on me, whether it's a job, relationships with people, that sort of thing. I think I would say that's my superpower.
I want to say no shit, but I'm going to say hell yes, Edward. The story that I always tell. This is a good one, Ronnie. So neighbors have got 3 girls, okay? And each of them go through life, but I don't know why some of them doesn't have a driving license. Anyway, neighbor mom comes over. She's a doctor. She talks to Bernadine. She's like, hey, Edward goes to PV High. Do you mind if he gives our youngest a ride every morning? And Edward never says no. He's just a quiet guy, but tenacious. So we entrust this with him, and we set and forget, right? A year later, there's a big hamper that comes to the house, food and a gift card and a thank you for Edward. And the mother, the doctor says to Bernadine, do you know that at 5 to 8, every day, whether it was rain or shine or anything else, Edward was out in front of our door and, picked up their daughter. And we're like, yeah, we can see Edward being that tenacious. And she says, and do you know he never said a word in the whole year? So, that's Edward, right? Edward had and I'm going to head to my next question is, what if we had to alter things? And I'm going to answer it first, right? So the definition of an introvert is not someone who's shy and quiet. It's someone who's very social, but needs time to recharge. And if growing up, I had to understand that better, our dynamic, father-son dynamic, would probably be a little different. We were the good Catholic parents that said, hey, Edward, go say good morning, go say thank you. And when Edward was little, he'd be behind, holding on tight, not wanting to deal with public. But his friends are quick to comment that, oh my gosh, this guy is totally social and highly energetic. And so there's this great book called Quiet, written about how to deal with introverts. They're not shy. They don't shun the spotlight. It's just that they need their time to recharge. And that was a learning experience for me. So, Ronnie, I'm going to go to the Indian dad section of the program, right? We've all had goals. My father was an engineer. My sister, my brother, all engineers. And I would have probably been a better engineer than an accountant. But I was designated to go on to the administrative side and therefore finance and MBA. And really, I'd love to I gravitate towards reading drawings and building things. For you, you had a mission with your son from day one. And boy, have you been tenacious since we're talking about, rain, literally rain or sunshine. You'd leave work, you'd leave parties. And we knew there was only one of 2 places that you were, either with us or with Riley. And every minute and every pulse, every second and every headline, whether we've liked it or not, and I'm being facetious, we've had to share it. Like, hey, Riley got noticed on the last page of the LA Times, and slowly it moved to the middle, and now Riley's in the front of the sports section. And check this out: it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and he got a little bit of camera time when he was growing up on TV. Now, of course, the man's on the spotlight and scoring goals, creating stats. But my point is that you have heavily invested, and this has been your North Star. So talk about, raising a son. I'm not going to say just in this country, but talk about raising a son.
So just to answer your question, before I answer your question, I first want to go to Edward. Edward is a class act. He is a gem of a son, a loving person. I'll never forget the day, I think we were at your place, and Riley liked a foam pillow. Riley must have been 3 years old, liked a foam pillow at your house. Lo and behold, a week later, there's a knock on the door, and Edward's at the door with a foam pillow for Riley. How cool is that? How sweet was that? This was 15 years ago, 14 years ago. Edward was a young lad, but I mean, he must have spent some of his pocket money to do that. So, Edward, thank you.
Of course.
But coming back to your question about Riley being the North Star and all that, it's difficult in this household because I have 2 kids. I've got a daughter who's 25 years old.
Thank you for reminding me, Ronnie.
And I have to remind myself, and I have to remind, and my daughter reminds me that hey, there's another kid in this house as well. So I have to be very focused on both of them. But true to what you just said, Riley's taken a lot of my energy because I'm very passionate about soccer, traveling the world with him, traveling all over. It's tough to have. It's the way I look at it. It's as an Indian dad. When we go for parties, we've got all these friends. What does your son do? What does your daughter do? Every Indian parent is either naming engineering, doctor, lawyer, computer science. And then when it comes to my turn, my son's a soccer player. And then there's silence because no one's expecting an Indian to make a career in sports, in soccer especially. The probability of that, of 1.3 billion people country, the amount of sports kids we are putting up in the forefront is very few and far in between. So the fact that Riley's got the talent and the tenacity, and there's a lot of discipline that comes into this. It's easy for people to say, oh yeah, he's into soccer, but he has to go to sleep at a certain time, get up at a certain time, eat 6 meals a day. He's got to have the speed to compete on that professional level. It's not easy. And as he's just signed his first professional contract, which is happening this week as we speak. In fact, there was some signing that took place this morning. He is in the kindergarten of his professional life, which means it's only going to get tougher and harder from here on because he is going to be earning a paycheck through professional sports. And it's not going to be easy.
Right.
Now, if I could get him to turn off the lights like how you had Edward turn off the lights, I'd be thrilled. But the fact that my son is now going to start earning a paycheck, as an Indian father, my first thought process is, okay, when we get the electric bill, he's going to pay for it because he leaves the lights on, he leaves the fans on. And my daughter is going to be paying for the water because she loves
her long showers.
20-minute shower. So
that's the universal rule, right?
That's an Indian father perspective for you.
Thank you. I'm not going to let you off the hook so early. So your plan, right? Your North Star was getting Riley here. What was that journey? Can you spend another 30 seconds on the amount of energy and focus? And yes, you have a beautiful daughter and she's doing well. Today is about fathers and sons.
I think the focus was Catholic education, which was huge because both my wife and I come from Catholic education background back in India. So it was putting them in Catholic education, and they actually attended masses and things like that in school. But also the company that they rolled with were more what should I say, more religious or more, they
Value
were
based.
nice,
Yeah.
value based, absolutely. And soccer, being in soccer, especially for boys and for girls to some extent, keeps them out of trouble.
Sure.
They stay focused on the sport. They get tired. They spend major time of theirs during the day playing that. So when they come home, they're tired and they go to sleep and they stay out of trouble. So when you're good at the sport, it makes your question easy. What I didn't have to do much. He did the doing. I just followed. I just kept him on the straight and narrow and introduced him to people, and soon he's going to be introducing me to people. So
For
I've
sure.
done my job, and he's going to take it from you. It's like a relay. I just pass on a baton to him, and he goes and takes it and runs.
From where I stand or sit or watch, boy, is this been a passion project for you. Yeah, right. And I commend you on your dedication. So accept it. You can continue to be humble, but very impressive in terms of you and Project Riley. Riley, over to you. What was it like, or is it like? You're still growing up, and what's it like growing up with Ronnie Dalgado?
Yeah, I think my dad, he's helped me stay focused on what's important. You know, I don't I don't go to too many parties. I don't go out all the time because he tells me I have a bright future ahead of me, and why risk getting injured with my friends now when it's the most important years of my career. So I think my dad has helped me to stay focused. Apart from that, he pays for all my meals as well, so I can
Yeah.
I can I can get some good food. And yeah, it's just I mean, he has showed a lot of love over the past years, coming out. Like if I would play games in France and he would fly to France to watch. And just
Absolutely.
having that support behind me is like it means the world, and it also pushes me to do better every single day.
Impressive. Thank you. This is one of the first moments I've asked for how things look from your vantage point, and that thank you for sharing that. Edward, I don't think I am paying for your meals any longer, son. I don't know. I may be. But talk to me. I mean, what was it like? Is uh, like growing up? You're at a slightly different stage. You are about to get married, and I think last Thanksgiving I handed over uh, turkey carving duties to you, if I'm pretty sure, right? So there's a rite of passage. So talk about growing up, talk about, you know, having to deal with 75-mile-an-hour baseball swinging, whizzing past your ear, and you're not wanting to be there, and your passion for basketball. And let's throw in the Catholic education too. What was it like growing up with me?
Yeah, I still wish you were paying for my meals. Unfortunately, you're not. I think
Yep.
I have a different perspective now than I think I did as a kid. Growing up, he obviously pushing me academic wise. I think my only passion really as a kid was basketball, right? But I couldn't play basketball unless I got my schoolwork done first. Um, I remember I couldn't get like anything less than an A, right? If I got like a B or
Mhm.
something, I'm gonna be in trouble. And then obviously being the firstborn as a immigrant parents, being first generation, trying to like make me Americanized, I guess, right? So doing all the other activities when I don't think I necessarily wanted to, like Cub
Absolutely
Scout,
not. I totally agree with you. Yes.
baseball. I hated baseball. You wanted me to be really good at baseball.
Right.
I hated it. Was never good at it. Um, and then obviously then going to Catholic school, kindergarten to eighth grade, right? Having good like values, then doing all the other extracurriculars, altar serving, right? Helping out after school, that sort of thing. But I think now as an adult, I think in a way, I think I'm glad like I kind of went through that, right? It gave me a good like foundation of as a person, that's who I am, gave me like a strong ethic, learn how to treat people with respect. And I think that in a way now that kind of shaped who I am today and put me in like the great position that I am in now.
Thank you. Interesting. So, absolutely, yes, right? If there's one thing that we worked on diligently, it was assimilation. Um, both mom and me wanted you for in assimilated and into all things Americana magically if we could wave a wand. So, one of my regrets, I've told you often, is that I wish we had spoken in Hindi at home to you so that you had a second language. Not that you made much use of the Spanish that you were taught in high school, but I feel if there was one thing that we had done, and then the biggest hoax that we probably pulled up, and I will now admit this publicly, is that we told you, look, no way, unless you get straight A's, you are not going to go to basketball. And that was a serious passion of yours. And I remember this turnaround between third and fourth grade where you so badly wanted to play for club that you literally maintained straight A's from fourth grade to eighth grade and really never looked back in your education. Even in high school, when you had to take only 2 classes to get through your final year, you take 6, and that was just built in. It was part of your tenacity. So well done. But know that on behalf of Ronnie and me to Riley and Edward, that a lot of times parents act out of fear, right? It's like, look, let's give you the guardrails of a Catholic education because that's what we know. Let's bolster you and reinforce with you and create these frameworks, stay away from parties and do, study hard, etc. It's because we don't have that courage to deal with the unknown. And so it's a set formula that works. I promise on behalf of Ronnie and me that we will be much braver, much cooler grandparents. We're in no rush, but we'll take all those risks that we haven't with you. Right? Deal, Ronnie?
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on. So that was fun. That was nice to know, and how things look like to you. And so Ronnie, here you are, right? Your son's starting life, as is mine. And if there was some advice that you would give your 25-year-old self, Ronnie, I'm sure Riley isn't 25 yet, and Edward is barely, but what's that advice that you would give your 25-year-old self? Now, remember, this is a crazy question. I don't really like it because here you are today, successful, financially sufficient, venturing out into multiple continents, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if you had to change anything, if the Ronnie of 62 years old, 60 years old,
59.
the big one. The big one, dude. This year.
Coming up.
Amazing. So if the 60-year-old Ronnie had to go back and tell something to the 25-year-old Ronnie, you're going to mess up the whole chain of events and we wouldn't be here. So it's not a valid question, but go with the flow. What would you tell
it's
your
totally
25-year-old
valid because
self?
if you look at the mindset of our parents, it was study hard, work hard, get a good job. Now, if I had the 59-year-old had to give a 25-year-old this advice, would be take more risks in life.
Amen.
Absolutely take more risks in life because, okay, you may want a job, you may have a job. Could you start a business? Could you create a business? But we were not encouraged when we were young to open businesses. I think, Philip, you're different. I think your mother encouraged you and maybe supported you to open up a business. And there you are, successful with a business. But we all didn't have the same advice or the same strengths from our parents. So be risky, take a risk. You could be even more successful than what you are, right?
So I do hope that Edward and Riley are listening to this carefully because I echo the same sentiment. Right now that everything is worked out beautifully, we're like, yeah, go ahead, take some risks. But that having done that, having established a certain sense of security that we can safely say has appeared, life's okay, right? I mean, we've had a few left and right turns, but we've arrived as predicted at a point where there's stability. and we promise you that the same thing's going to happen with you, right? You're not going to end up, unless something drastically different happens, homeless in Bombay, right? Pretty safe to say that you are on to a successful path. And what you're saying, Ronnie, is live in the moment.
Correct.
Right? For me, having the advantage of given some thought to this question, ironically, it's amazing how we turn into our parents. The things that my father told me, I find myself telling Edward so often. I don't know if you catch yourself in those moments, but for me, it was, that ultimately the advice that my father gave me, whether he knew it or not, was right. I know one thing for sure. I had to prove it to myself, irrespective of what he said. I'm like, look, Dad can't figure this out. I know better, right? So the couple of things that he told me as I ventured out into this great country was one, of course, entrepreneurial family, and that was I did it out of fear. I didn't want to report to anyone, and so I wanted the freedom of having my own business, and that's grass greener on the other side. The other piece is like, Philip, go into software. I don't even figure that he barely knew what going into software meant, but it was one of the most profitable ventures for rural, right? Designing disk encryption tools and software companies and everything else. And so that rings through. It's like, how the heck would my dad even know this back in when I could barely spell software if you gave me all the vowels, right? And so there's some wisdom from the old guys, right? And so, boys, listen up. On that happy note, let's go on to some fun rapid fire back and forth. So, Ronnie, if you had a billboard, that's the question. What's a mantra? What's a meaningful saying or quote that you like?
I would probably write on there, you will be forgotten in 100 years.
You will be
And the reason
forgotten, or do you say everyone?
everybody
should know
will be
this?
forgotten.
Okay.
Everybody will be forgotten in 100 days. And the reason I say that is basically we live our life with fanning our egos. And then when you look at the big world, you go into space and you try and find Earth. It's such a small, minuscule dot. And in the real world right now, Earth is literally nothing in space. And then on Earth, we've got 3 billion people, and each of the 7.3 billion people think they're the it all and end all for the world.
Absolutely.
So if we all forget our egos, I think the world will be in a better place. So to that point, my billboard would say, we all will be forgotten in 100 years.
Years, no doubt. Well said. It's success to insignificance. It's not success to significance. And there's there's this beautiful video done by Carl Sagan called The Blue Dot, and that's exactly what it presents. That we're this minuscule little speck in eternity. Edward, what about you?
I think mine would be somewhat similar. I think it goes back to like stuff you told me when I was growing up. I think it would be something like along the lines of like, just do it because who really cares at the end of the day? Because, we're always, worried about what other people are doing. I remember you'd always tell me too, like when I would get nervous for like a speech or meet other people in the room, you'd be like, that person in that room is probably just as nervous too, right? So, you know, don't be scared at the end of the day. Just, take risks because over time people forget, right? Like what Uncle Ronnie was saying, get out of your ego. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Life goes on no matter what. Even if you fail, you learn from your mistakes. So I would just say, yeah, just do it because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
I'm going to pat myself on the back for that brilliant advice. I know that we would test this theory about don't worry what others think with me blasting the music as we turned in to drop you off to school. And you'd be like, no, Dad, don't, no, no, no. They're going to hear it. I did it with Emily for sure. Right. But the things I put Edward through. How about you, Riley?
Yeah, it's something similar to both these guys, but I would say you only live once. And it's just like, take the risk. For me is I'm taking a risk becoming a pro soccer player because my career could end tomorrow. And then oh shoot, what do I have for me? So, just take the risks. You only live life once, so live life to the fullest. And I'm having a blast playing soccer every day. So, it's just
I like that.
you only live once, so just keep on living.
Love it. So you can be calm and placid, or you can live the fullest in the moment and maximize. Awesome. So what are you passionate about, Riley?
Well, a lot of things. Obviously, soccer is my main, but I'm passionate about family. I love to have family over. Obviously my close family, but also cousins, second cousins. Friends are a big thing for me. I go to their house once or twice every week just to hang out. Having a close friend and like it's very valuable because when you feel like you've messed up, you always have a person who you can just go to and have a good talk with. So family, friends, and I like to read once in a while. So yeah, I like to read once in a while. So I like books. So I think they help me just stay focused and stay locked in on my job.
Nice. What about you, Edward? What are you passionate about? I do remember before you answer that question, till 28, Edward did exactly that, lived life to the fullest. And mom and I are concerned, is this guy going to start dating? And now, as part of the official record of this podcast, I'm like, Edward, bring something home, John, Jane, or Jesus, but bring something home, right? In terms of dating and everything else. And Edward says, Dad, I'm enjoying life. Well, why don't I just be who I am? 2 years later, we're planning for our wedding in Spain on the 21st of September. So, Edward, what are you passionate about?
Obviously basketball. I think from a little kid, Lakers, right? Passionate about that. I think basketball will always be there. And then some other things is Riley. Family. My now wife, I guess she's my wife now. Hanging out with my dog.
She is. It's official.
Yeah, it's official now. I have a pretty good and strong friend group as well, right? So, hanging out with them, family. I enjoy what I do for work as well. Yeah.
Beautiful. Ronnie, what's exciting for you? Passion projects? What wants you to wake up in the morning?
Edward, congratulations.
Thank-
That is good news, awesome news that you're already married. Good for you. And have a blast in Spain in September. For me,
Ronnie,
I mean,
just for the record, the LA courts have approved. Jesus hasn't yet. So we still got to wait for the
no, but I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So, I'm glad Riley brought it up because family, yeah. I mean, I retired because I want to spend more time with my family. But besides family, travel and investing are two of my big passions. I'm very passionate about both. I look forward to investing. What's out there? What's on the horizon? What Zoom? How can I educate myself? I mean, education never stops. I don't care how old you are, but you continue to educate yourself on different projects and cryptocurrency and real estate and alternate investments, things like that.
All of this
How
you
about
do
you?
because you want to, not that you
Oh,
have
absolutely.
Yep.
Correct.
to. For me, it's, I travel. We have that in common. We're often comparing notes. I'll ask for, hey, have you been to this place? And out comes a list of things that we should check out. So one of my bucket lists was to get the kids to all 7 continents. But I think we have you beat with Antarctica barely. You definitely visited more countries than we have, for sure. And that's amazing, right? Travel is just a gift that we've given to our children as well. For me, travel, if you haven't figured this out already, give me a mic and let me go. I love to talk. So I'm looking to talk about, risk mitigation and cybersecurity and AI. And then, in the future, I'd like to be on a couple of boards and taper off the speed at which I'm going. Be much like you, have fun. But having said that, I think both of us are going to die with our boots on, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with this is going really fun. I've got just a final list of rapid fire questions, but I'm going to throw a little twist. I was going to begin this question with athleticism misses a generation, but it's only missed me out of the four of us. Ronnie's been quite the athlete. Riley, Edward, no doubt. I want to know some habits that each of you have, a daily habit that we may or may not know about. It could be meditation. It could be sleeping out in the open. It could be a cold plunge, or a bad habit even. Something that you do that we either know or don't know about on a daily basis. Ronnie?
I think for me, it's juicing.
Interesting.
I enjoy juicing. I spend half an hour putting together a juice for Jeanette and myself that I actually, when I drink it, I can feel it coursing through my body, and my body saying, thank you for doing that.
That's deep,
So,
my friend.
yep, absolutely. And I just started doing this 2 months ago, and I can't
Okay.
live a day now without juicing. So,
Impressive.
freshest ingredients.
Okay.
More
We
on
got to
the
talk
red.
more and have some samples offline.
Absolutely.
The thing that kept me away from juicing is not the half hour that it takes to make it. It's the 3 hours clean up every day
Yes.
after that.
You got to make it simple.
We'll
It
talk.
doesn't take that long.
We'll talk. For me, very similarly, at the gym, this one old lady, and I say old lady because I'm going in the theme of old ladies' tales, told me that, Philip, if you have warm water every morning, watch the way it drops. 20 years later, the scale hasn't moved, Ronnie, but I can get rid of that that damn glass of warm water every morning. But I've done it religiously. Edward, what about you, son?
A habit, I guess, is like just my morning routine, right? With my commute, I gotta be drinking my coffee and have my music sets like my mind right for the day. I'd say that my habit slash routine is what I need to get my day going.
Favorite music?
Mostly rap and hip hop is what I listen to.
Oh, very nice. How about you, Riley? Favorite music and daily habit?
Yeah, I would say rap and hip hop as well. But my habit is my soccer routine because I have to foam roll and stretch prior to my practice, or else I can't function properly. So I need to foam roll and stretch. And my schedule for soccer is I end my day around 1. So it's nice, but after I get back home, I not every day, but 3, 4 times a week, I take a nap at around 3:30, and I always wake up at 5:58. So
Wow.
it's pretty like to a T. So that nap helps me, stay refreshed and helps me to do better the next day.
Impressive. The one thing I'm proud to say that you and I have in common is that we both own foam rollers. Mine is still in the original plastic wrap. But you should get Dad to buy you one of those zero gravity massage chairs. You definitely earned it.
I should.
Guys, this has been a lot of fun. And here's the cherry on the sundae. Rapid fire. I'm going to throw words at you, and you can say what comes to mind, or you can say pass. Okay? Ready? Ronnie, religion.
Don't even bother. Sorry. No. Religion. Absolutely.
Says the guy
me,
who's got a wall full of
Full of crosses.
crucifixes
No.
from
What-
all over the
what-
world.
What I meant with that is, for me, religion is being loving, being kind. For me, that's a better religion than religion. Because depending on what religion everybody comes from, everybody preaches stuff, but do people actually do it?
Amen,
So
brother.
I'm more of a practical guy. So that's mine.
Edward.
Yeah, I would say the similar thing is to a lot of religions in the world. Basic concept, I guess you could say, is the same, but yeah, same thing, right?
Okay.
Do people actually live it?
much to the chagrin of your maternal grandparents, I think I've messed you up because my dad said it's a suggestion, not a mandate, and that some of that may have rubbed off on you. Riley, religion.
Religion. Yeah, I think just going to mass, it helped me to become the person I am. You know, praying to Jesus because we're Catholic, so it's and also being a part of a Catholic school from kindergarten to grade 8, it's helped me and my sister just, you know, be accustomed to a schedule where we have mass every Friday. So just helps us to have that schedule and look forward to every Friday mass at 12 p.m.
Very nice. And it always helps to blow a quick crucifix up because you have a better game or,
Mhm.
you score or defend better. Riley, I'm going to start with you. Books. Anything
Books.
comes to
I
mind? A
like
good read. You don't
I
read.
like to
You
read.
listen.
Yeah, it's called A Series of Unfortunate Events. That's
Interesting.
a book I like to read. It's a very childish, franchise, but it's a franchise that intrigues me because it has a bunch of ups and downs in the stories, and also Harry Potter is one of my favorite. I love Harry Potter. It's just
I like your choice
where it's
already.
yeah, it's just where it's taking place. The characters, the storyline is just top notch.
Nice.
Nice.
Ronnie, books.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki.
Of course.
Taught me a lot. I had a poor dad, so the Rich Dad book taught me a lot of stuff.
Very nice. I would expect nothing less from a guy who's passionate about investing. Edward.
I really like fantasy novels. I read like all the Harry Potter, like Pendragon books. I read all the Game of Thrones books, even the ones like the House of Dragon ones too. And then right now reading this like Iron Flame series. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lemony Snicket.
Yeah, I read that too when I was like in middle school, I
And
think.
yeah,
Middle
you
school, I
were
think.
in fourth grade
Yeah.
and you weren't reading. And I still remember we went for a haircut and the lady that was giving you a haircut said, "Hey, you got to start," because she was reading this. There's
Mm.
nothing too childish. She was 50 something and she's like, "Hey, if you want to get started," and I think you went through the whole series voraciously. Edward, historical figures. Anyone jump to mind?
Historical figures. Well, since his father's son, Gandhi. I'm good. Gandhi.
Whoa. Gandhi, did you say?
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought you were making me a historical figure. Thank you. Dodge that bullet. Ronnie.
Mother Teresa.
Okay. We were staying on the same subcontinent. Very nice. Riley.
Um, you know, one isn't coming to mind, so I'll pass this one.
Pretty cool.
Eh,
So last but not least, lessons from grandma. Ronnie.
eh,
I'll start with that because I was unfortunate I didn't have grandmas. Um, so I think I met my grandmother from England once when I was 10 years old for 2 months.
Wow.
But just felt the love emanating, but no lessons to say per se. Go ahead.
Riley.
Yeah, I think, I was very young when both my grandmas died, but from my dad's mom, one thing that she loved to do was collect stamps, which is very odd for me, being raised in the US. It's something I didn't really expect to be like a hobby. But what that taught me is just, if you're passionate about something, just keep on pursuing it and just have fun with it.
That is so true, right? That if I may, father, son, teaching moment. Stand for something. We all know the aunt who collects cow prints. And she has a salt shaker that's in the form of a cow and drapes and table settings. And so when we go on vacation, what do we get Aunt Martha? Something in the shape of a cow print because that's her passion, right? And so with stamps and so with sons with your careers, right? Whether it's environmental or whether it's soccer, stand for something, right? And the more you stand for it and the more passionate, the more the universe aligns with you. So well said. Edward, lessons from grandma.
Um, yeah, both my grandmas live in India, so didn't get too much FaceTime with them all the time. But I would say from Grandma Celine, I would say family. Obviously, she had 9 kids, and always going to her house. She had photos of all the kids. Kids lived in the same building as her, so I would just say strong family ties, and then more on like a for Grandma Millie, more on a joking side. Don't work yourself too hard. Memory comes to mind of when you uh redo the backyard when you're remodeling it, and she got real mad at you
Oh, she did. She did. Say that again, Edward. That deserves repeating.
yeah, don't work your son too hard. I think you were remodeling the backyard, and
Uh-huh.
you wanted, try to teach me hard work, a life lesson, and you made me take I don't even know what the machine is, but
Well,
it
it
was
was a roller. I think it was a roller to level the backyard because we were going to do sod.
gold, and it was twice the size
Yeah.
of me, and you made me made me start rolling the dirt in the backyard, and I was sweaty. It was super hot. It was sunny on rainy
It was hot.
days, and I think grandma was watching me, and she like yelled at you for making me
Yeah,
do all the
she
work.
did. She did. Edward, the day before Christmas, Christmas Eve, my dad let all, and I'm sure Ronnie has a similar story, let all the help, because growing up in India, it was normal to have someone to mop and clean, and you've heard all these stories. So he'd literally let all the help go, and we were the ones, Uncle Brian and me, who did the cleaning and everything, because this was his idea of saying, look, it's what he referred to as a dignity of labor. And so there's this one moment you're sitting watching a Laker game, and Alberto's out there working his butt off. And I'm like, look, who decided that this was fair? And I'm like, hey, Edward, get out there and start rolling the backyard. I'm not very proud of that moment, but if there was a lesson from that, thank you, son. We'll take it. So guys, this has been a ton of fun. We planned for this to be, 30 or 40 minutes. We're now covering more than an hour. Ronnie and Riley and Edward, thank you so much for doing this. Any closing remarks?
It was fun.
No,
Wasn't so bad.
I have to say thank you for doing this, and thank you for having Riley and me on this podcast. And I hope we get a lot of listeners for this. And thank you to your friend in Brampton for recording.
Yep, I'm sure we will. For me, I'm excited because we've recorded this for posterity. So starting now, the moment we hit the save button, it's going to stay forever, in the etherverse. So that's pretty cool stuff. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this episode of Secure IT. As I continue the journey, today was personal and fun and requested by many of you, but we will be back as we continue the cybersecurity discussions with customers, vendors, and end users, always focusing on the human element. Our guests today, I thank them for helping us to learn from their insights. This has been a ton of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts from. And as always, please do direct message me on LinkedIn or X with questions, comments, complaints, and kudos. See you again next month.